We're talking his and hers, the biggest twist of 2026, some say. But got my guy Scotty. We're going to talk about, did this actually make sense? Smiley Films here. Hit that like button, hit that sub button, all that good stuff. Got plenty of videos coming to you, so make sure you look out for those. But without further ado, let's jump into it.
So, we got any suspects?
Stop.
Persons of interest?
Hey, Anna, how you doing? You doing good?
Yeah, good, Jack.
Good, good. It's really great to see you.
So, Scotty, we both recently finished his and hers. This has been the talk. This show has been really the talk of the internet for about a couple of weeks now on one of the craziest twists. This is actually based off a book. I didn't know that, but they said that's based off a book. So we basically have John Barenthal and Tessa Thompson starring as Anna and Jack. They're a couple, basically start with Anna trying to get her, basically coming back to her job after a year. She's been gone. No one knows where she was. Even Jack, who's a detective, really couldn't find her. She comes back in, and events kind of start from the first episode with a dead body. So basically, a whodunit. Now moving forward, we all know now whodunit was Alice, the mom of Anna, in the end, and a reveal there. But the question I want to pose to you: did this actually make sense? Because this is what we had here for a little bit of a rundown. So, kind of the suspect list we had was Anna, Jack, Clyde Duffy, who was Rachel's husband, Lexi, who took Anna's job, and her husband Richard. And then we had the four basic girls in the show: Rachel, Helen, Zoe, and Anna. They were kind of our main characters. So for the end, most people are like, Alice, where did that come from? So I want to ask you, how did you feel about the twist? Did it actually make sense?
I guessed it was Alice on episode 3. I didn't expect you to guess it, because when I guess the killer, I always pick the person that I know it ain't going to be. I picked Alice because I said it's grandma. I just wanted to say it. And then the episodes kept going forward. I said, wait a minute. It really probably is the grandma. She's walking around town naked, hasn't seen a single doctor. We all know old people that refuse to go to the doctor. But she's not that old. She's like 58, maybe 60. She ain't that old. So I was like, this is a little weird. Okay, I was rolling with it. And at the end, when I saw Lexi had this elaborate plan of revenge, I said, no, that's too elaborate. It's grandma. It's too elaborate. Why it doesn't make sense to me is not why it doesn't make sense to other people I've seen on TikTok say because she's old and because she doesn't have the strength or the ingenuity. She didn't need any ingenuity because everybody just had a regular door and no alarm system. So she didn't need
small town.
Yeah, and nobody suspected her of anything. So that makes perfect sense for me. Why it doesn't make sense is because Anna had all these things filmed. Like basically every bad thing that's ever gone in her life, along with the good things, were on tape at her mother's house.
Yeah.
You had an essay on tape at your mother's house,
which made zero sense.
That's to leave that the there. Part that makes no sense at all. Because I'm like, okay, I understand, and I'm never going to blame anybody for not telling anybody. Her not going to police or telling anybody about it ever again. Maybe she told her husband, Jack. I can't remember what she told him or not. But I'm like, no, I don't think, matter of fact, I don't think she told him either.
No, he didn't know. No one really knew.
Yeah, she just kind of moved on with her life. Even when she encountered Zoe later on in the series, she kind of put aside, didn't care. Even Helen just put aside, whatever. But you have it on tape. I found that to be the weirdest part of the show, not the grandma being the killer. Why is that on tape? And why not only forget it being on tape? Why is it in your mom's house?
Yeah, I mean, even if it did end up on tape, they wanted to record for her birthday celebration or whatever. You have that. Like, you're gonna delete it, or if you want to keep it as some kind of proof to blackmail people later on, maybe a reason why it could be on tape. You have that just stored. Oh, I guess it is kind of stored away, but it's still in a place no one should be able to find it.
Yeah.
Especially stacked with all your other, like, very innocent stuff. It's like if this tape was under the bed or in an old hiding space and somebody just came across it. It's like, okay. The fact that it's just mixed in with all her regular stuff is like your kids could find it. Well, she doesn't have kids, but technically they could find it, or somebody randomly could find that. So that, I mean, that's a good
no sense. That little tidbit for me. That's why the killer made no sense to me, just because the premise of how she knew all that makes zero sense.
Yeah. So, like you, I think I guessed it a little bit earlier, probably episode 2, kind of because, and this was kind of episode 2, really episode 3, I had to lock down. Really, when you look at the
I guessed it episode 1.
Okay, so and this is the reason why it wasn't just because the killer death didn't make any sense. Just basically because the show kind of ruled everyone else out, especially by episode 3. So they were kind of building up for Lexi to, I guess, be the killer. By episode 3, when Richard says something happened with her sister 20 years ago, I'm like, too obvious. She's out. Yeah. I don't know what happened. We can kind of maybe guess what happened. Like somebody killed her sister or whatever. Kind of the flip later on. That's another twist later on. But yeah, after that, I'm like, okay, no, that's out. Anna and Jack are in this way too much to the point where it's like, probably not them. I highly doubt it. Clyde Duffy was the worst red herring because he is just he does way too much to be the killer. So then we move on to kind of the 4 here of Rachel, who's dead, Helen, which I think by the time we got through the first episode, we're like, yeah, these 4 are like all going to be in danger. Somebody's trying to kill all 4 of them. So that kind of ruled out that 4 bunch. Kind of knew Zoe was going to die, even though Jack just let her die, which I have a little bit of a beef with when that's who they're killing. Why send her home by herself? And obviously Anna, who's our main character here. So if you take all of those people off the board, there's really only 2 people that you can look at. One is Boston, the other detective, which is one of my early suspects of like, it could be her, but she's doing her job a little too well to be her. And Alice, who's the mom, which normally wouldn't make sense. But Scotty, the one thing that got me, and this is the thing I guessed it. When Anna came back and Jack says, well, obviously Jack finds her, which later on you catch that she's wandering on the night of the murders. When Jack catches her, he's like, yeah, your mom's been deteriorating. She has dementia. She's caught it like really, really fast and it's going downhill. And I'm like, wait, hold up. Anna's only been gone
a year,
maximum a year. I'm like, I don't believe dementia works that fast. It's something that takes time over time. So I'm like, she's only been gone, let's say maximum a year. I looked it up. I'm like, how long does dementia take to set in? At the beginning, where you start to see early stages, 1 to 2 years, where it's just like, maybe I have something, I don't know what's going on, but maybe I have something. Not to the point where you're wandering the streets naked, which I don't know why dementia would make you do that, but you know, even still, but that's just nice. So that was the one for me where I'm like, it's probably her. And then once we got Lexi off the board, I'm like, it's her.
Yeah. The only reason I gave the dementia part a pass is just because that town has no professionals in it at all, except for Boston. So I said, oh, the ambulance probably just saw her and said, oh, naked woman, dementia. She didn't get diagnosed by a soul. So I said, okay, she probably has 2 or 3 things that no one's diagnosed because she won't go to the doctor. So I let that one slide. It was just when I heard when Lexi was like, you know why I got a job as a reporter and got in shape? All to take your job. And Anna was like, well, I still would have had my job if I didn't have a hiatus for a year, but I was plotting anyway. I was going to make the bathroom wet and you would have slipped and fell. Eventually, after 5 years, it would have happened. I was like, this is some wild stuff. It's just wild. So I knew it wasn't her because that's too wild. That is a I know what you did last summer 3 wild right there.
Yeah, where you're just putting stuff together. So I have these couple of articles from the tab, and I looked at these after to see kind of what the what clues there were that Alice was the killer. So I'm gonna read a couple here. But they said the huge clue that was staring everybody in the face that Alice was the killer. I'm gonna read here. So Alice wandering the streets the night of the murder. So I talked about that definitely makes sense there. She was wandering the streets. They kind of blended. I thought they blended that in pretty well to where it's not overly suspicious, but it was a little bit suspicious. I could see how people could overlook that. But another thing was that they didn't mention. I believe there was something mentioned earlier on where she was a custodian, and that was brought up sometime early in the show. Now, I don't remember that or recall that. And I just saw it recently, so I don't really recall that. But those were kind of the main reasons. But that, to me, that's not really enough to say, like, what are in the streets? Sure. If you're going to be really suspicious, there's a lot of people doing suspicious shit in this show. So if you want to be suspicious, that's sure. This backstory of her being a cleaner, yeah, I can leave that. That's just, you just threw that in there to give a reason.
Yeah. The clue, or you don't the clues? I'm sorry.
I got one more, but go ahead.
I was just saying, even that part, I was not clued into that. I guess randomly, then the next episode pretty much sealed the deal because everybody else around her was pretty much either clueless or doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. A couple other things. The barefoot at the scene where they go to the first dead body of Rachel and they find like there's a bunch of bare feet there right around there, and then the fact that she's walking barefoot away from the scene with kind of no clothes on with shedding evidence was something I was a little skeptical of. That's another reason, but that's kind of the that's kind of the stuff that they have going on. And I think they also too they overdo it a little bit with like when she makes Anna breakfast, it has eggshells in her eggs, and I'm like, why? Like maybe I don't know dementia that well, but this is some stuff just like, why? How is that effective? You forget how to make eggs? You can't see that there's eggshells in your eggs?
I thought that I tried to let all that go only because I didn't know what the grandmother may have been dealing with. Because I have an aunt that has dementia. Hers set on really, really quickly, but she was also drinking heavily every single day, and that sped up the process. So I kind of was trying to throw her a bone and say, okay, she could have been drinking, she could have had all of this going on. It was just that fourth episode really just sealed it in. And then, but you never know. I try to give the old people benefit of the doubt. I thought she was going to be one of those old people that just knew everything, and she was. She's the old person that knows everything. She goes to every scene with nothing but a lockpick and a knife. That's it.
Yeah, she had everything she basically needed to. I thought the twist was fine. I think it definitely caught enough people off guard. I'm actually surprised. I was looking it up because I thought overall this was an entertaining show. I mean, that first couple episodes pretty much hooked me in. I mean, this is only sitting at a 67% critic score, 60% audience score. So either people were mad they didn't get the twist, or they were mad at the twist. That's kind of rated a little lower than I thought it would be. But something that you brought up earlier, overall, just thoughts with the show. I think it's good. I think they overexpose everyone else, which kind of leads you to think to who the killer is, because everybody is so much in the light outside of her and the other detective who's kind of working kind of behind, which it wouldn't have made sense for her to be the killer either. But I'm with you. The ending, where you get to the fifth episode, because we're before the reveal, they pile on way too much to where I would say you kind of didn't give your audience much of a chance unless you were going on a whim. Because the mention for me, it's a whim. I forgot why you thought she was the killer, but probably a whim because she wasn't a likely suspect. So outside of a whim, I don't think they give enough, and they pile too much in that last episode. Just got to give your audience a chance to figure out the whodunit.
Yeah, and I just think there's a lot. I mean, I've been in a few small towns. I never lived in one. That whole small town is just a raunchy, ridiculous, crime-ridden town. Like Clyde McDuffie, he just had everybody over Clyde McDuffie's house having a good old time. It's orgies everywhere. And then Helen, you're a head mistress doing all this stuff on camera. I was like, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I was like, man, this is really exaggerated. But the acting was done really well. I expected that. I always expect the acting to be well in 2026, especially when you have like Tessa Thompson's phenomenal and John Berthold's phenomenal, two main characters. But and the mother, I can't remember her name, and I should, because she's been phenomenal in everything she's been in. But it's just like, matter of fact, she was in a couple of Tyler Perry movies that I really liked. She was great. At that first episode, every character in that whole show was wildly exaggerated. Like if they were a bad person, they were bad, like Satan bad. And if they were good, they were Jesus good. So it just, sometimes I wish people in shows would be more realistic. It should have more realistic people as like the common theme, and then a couple outliers of crazy. Everybody was crazy. Everybody had a problem. Like the guy cheated on his wife within 5 minutes of getting to the hotel. 5 minutes. And they had no problems. Like Richard Jones and Lexi, they had no issues. So he just cheated just because.
I think the only thing they brought up was like, you don't get to see your wife as much. It's like, she's making a ton of money. She's a star. That's not a reason to go cheating the first day.
I always And then also the detail where they were trying to give us a doom and gloom, impending doom and gloom, when Richard was like, "Hey, Anna, why don't you come to this very secluded house that no one knows about, that even I didn't tell you about? I didn't even tell you I've ever been here before until this last episode. And then
Yeah.
Also, your phone's not going to work over here. Nothing electronic works in here but the lights." And she went. I said, why are you? You're a reporter. Why are you even going? Why are you
Yeah,
going?
you also live there. Like,
Yeah. And
you,
why would
you just go to your mom's house?
so then I was like, okay, this is weird. You didn't tell me your wife had a place over here. So when he got there, he was like, yeah, my wife wants bygones to be bygones. I said, that's weird. Like, that's why I suspected him. I was like, wait a minute, but you're telling me he had nothing to do with this? But that whole last 2 episodes, it was telling us, yeah, he's setting her up alone with his wife. I just think that was a bad setup. I really don't think that was well done at all.
Yeah, it was great because like, what was he setting her up for? Like, why would all the evil stuff to take her phone and all that stuff at the place? So they had to sit down and reconcile. Like, that would have been that's an ominous way to be like, y'all got dinner.
and that makes no sense either. For him to bring the woman he cheated on his wife with to the secluded house makes zero sense.
Yeah,
you should want to keep that woman away from your wife. What do you?
He was going for a threesome, man. He was like, if I can get these together, maybe we can all just work it out.
That writing with his character for me in the last 2 episodes was awful. That whole setup was awful.
And you touched on something like, I'm with you. These characters, some of them decently realistic. This group of 4 women girls that we deal with, bro, Helen and Rachel are supervillains.
Yeah.
Like, they exaggerate them so much to where it's like they're just stone cold evil for no reason. Mm-hmm. Like, you're gonna let the girl you weren't even picking on, first of all, picking on this girl was not nice as well, but the girl you weren't even picking on, one of your friends, you're gonna exploit them and let them get SA'd like for their birthday?
Yeah, I forgot about that. And I'm like, and then it was 3 random guys too, random adults.
Yeah, which there was no safety for any of them either. So why would you even set in the middle of woods? Why would you even set that up? Because it could happen to any of y'all as well. It just was like, why was that done? Like, oh, they were mean back in the day. Okay, there's mean, and then there's like Stephen King bully / serial killer, and you pushed them to the point where they were like Stephen King level villains, and it's like that just doesn't. I mean, I get it; they weren't good people, but come on, man. There's limits.
Yeah, that's that whole thing. And I thought the mother also would have went after the guys. She didn't. I didn't see it in like in a week. She didn't go after the guys, did she?
She probably just didn't know. She couldn't even see them on camera, so she probably didn't know who they were. She just knew the 4. Yeah, Zoe as well. She just didn't. She didn't fit in as evil as the others too. But it's like, why would you just sit there and watch that as well? Just kind of. It's just doing too much for a character.
She's the only one out of the bullies, her, Helen, and Rachel, that made sense to me as a character, because I have all this guilt. I've done all these things. So I'm going to be an alcoholic.
Yeah,
that made the most sense to me out of all the other 2. The other 2 girls just didn't care. Rachel didn't care.
Evil.
she was a millionaire, and Helen didn't care. She's probably 100,000-aire.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if Lex Luthor just showed up in the show and said, "Hey, I need some help," it probably would make sense.
Yeah,
well, that makes sense because they're the most evil people this town has ever created. So yeah, it just couple of things there, but overall, thought the show was pretty solid. I thought it was entertaining. Nice little twist at the end. So most people seem like they didn't get it. So it is what it is. It is a crazy twist, but overall, they like the show. I know they said 67% Rotten Tomatoes. I'm at price of admission. I think it's short one, only 6 episodes. Perfect. Not 8, not 10, not 12. 6, perfect sweet spot. They do feel like they put a little bit too much at it at the end, but they could just spread it out over the other 5 episodes. But definitely a price of admission show. Yeah,
I'm had to go minor league with this one. Like I said, the acting is good. The scenery is good. It's shot well. It's just, I think there was some bad writing in the last 2 episodes. There's only 6 episodes, so that's a little bit over a quarter.
So. Okay, I mean, yeah, that's fair. I think it's entertaining enough. By the time all the stuff comes out, it's like, all right, well, it's got to go somewhere. So I'd say
the
Presidents
first-
for me, minor league for him. I'd say it's probably worth the watch. Scotty probably on the other side. He's with other people with that 60%. Like, don't do it.
Yeah.
So there well. But let us know what you thought about the twist. Did it make sense? Was the question. I'm still on the board of nah, not really. But if you were a super sleuth or just women, I guess you probably could have got it, but didn't really make sense there. Scott, that's all I got. When people don't see us here, they're on other platforms. Where can they find us at?
Oh, they can find me at Coronal Comics on everything. You've made some appearances on there. You can find us at Minor League Films on everything. We also have a shorts page up, MLF Shorts. Check that out. That's it.
Yeah. That's where it is. All the stuff is linked in the bio, so go down or not in the bio, in the description. So go down there, you'll find it. Got more coming to you. A lot of stuff happening right now, so a lot to talk about. All that good stuff. We will catch you next time.